this out by yourself, David, or do you get some advice?
No, I worked it out myself.
Well done.
I just thought there had to be an easy way.
Well, I thought it was speaker feedback, which is what it probably was. When you're trying to set up speakers to play music and so on, you've got to have.
Matt, if you go into participants, you might be able to change the name. You're coming up with Stephen's iPad, you might be able to change it to Matt Hicks, just so that every playing cyber world can know who's intelligent comments.
If I knew how to do that, Steve, I would have already done it months ago.
Right, well, if you'll see a thing that says participants.
Oh, yep.
I think that's in the David.
Yeah.
Oh, and I can rename it. Here we go. Rightio. Hope I can rename it. I'll give it a crack anyway. Fixed it?
Beautiful.
Let's go outside just to check the audio on it. So, you want to?
Hello, Madam Mayor and Mr. GM. We're signing in.
You can.
That's very faint.
Terry? Can hear David. Let's take a minute to get everything organised.
Can you hear us, Lou?
Very staticky.
Yeah, very staticky, Steve. Now, you weren't before.
Right.
Speak again. Can you speak again? No,
I can. Can you hear me, Lee?
I can hear you, Terry, but I can't hear Heather or Steve.
Right, I'm the same.
Hmm.
You able to hear David Maxwell?
That's right now.
Mm.
Hear now.
Yep.
Well, Steve?
Oh, you're very in and out though.
Throwing some of the echo again.
It's not right. David's just up for a minute.
Heather, you're breaking up badly.
Okay. David is outside. He'll be back in a minute, so we've got a few minutes yet.
Now you're good. Now you're good.
Yeah, you were good then.
Okay. Steve's walking around the room, so
Keep
you might have to
walking.
keep walking.
Run, Steve.
Mobile antenna.
Stay there, Steve.
We are live, remember?
So, this,
These things wouldn't be interfering with that.
no, I don't think so. Can you hear us now?
Yes, pretty clear to me.
Yeah, me too.
Can we bring David's report forward?
Yeah, I can do it.
Maybe having to stick around. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6, you're okay.
Okay. Yes, testing 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Is that any better?
That's good.
That's good, Heather.
Yes, that's good.
Okay,
Very clear here, Heather.
thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah, it's fine then. Yep, no, I think we're good.
Great, so this is at a time.
6 o'clock now, is it?
Just before we start, what we're going to do is, if we need to have the minutes up on the screen for the councillors to review a motion, I can share my screen, but I won't have it up all the time. So, because otherwise you'll only see that and not see each other.
And if everyone can put themselves on the mute until they want to talk, please.
Jack's the only one. There you go. All right, we're ready to go. All right, I'm going to declare the meeting open on the 18th of August 2021. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this council meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present today are reminded that by speaking, you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You are also reminded that if and when speaking, you are to be respectful to others and use appropriate language. Greater Hume Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this meeting. I will read the prayer to open our meeting. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of your blessings. We ask for your strength and guidance throughout this meeting and thereafter, as we look to serve the residents of this shire. We ask for clear thinking and sincere hearts as we approach the business matters we will be discussing shortly. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting, each participant, and the work and people they represent. Amen. The acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. There are no apologies. Any applications for leave of absence? 0. Confirmation of the minutes.
Councillor Meyer.
Seconder, Councillor Parker. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Meyer?
Madam Mayor, I believe they're a fair and true record of the proceedings of the last meeting.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from anybody? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Action reports from the minutes. Where are we? Number and page, please. If there are any. Minute number and page number. Yeah. Councillor Meyer. Muted.
Are you directing a question to me, or are you waiting for me to?
Yeah. Do you have any queries?
The only thing I probably would ask is the last matter or second last matter, third last matter of last meeting. On minute number 5954, I noticed the matter was settled with the Softwoods Working Group. Was it satisfactorily settled?
Well, it's settled the council's resolution. Whether it was satisfactorily settled, I think, is a matter for the Softwoods Working Group, but that's council's decision, and that's what council's determined. That's what council's determined.
That's right.
Thank you.
Any further queries or comments? Councillor Quinn, unmute, please. Thank you.
Madam
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
on page 4, the Director of Planning is the exhibition of the draft Gindra residential land use planning. Is that finished or is it still progressing?
It's the Gindra land use strategy is still progressing, Councillor Quinn. There was some submissions made wanting to include a large parcel of land, and the Department of Planning and Council staff wanted to accommodate that. And so the document's being redrafted, and then it'll be re-exhibited again because it's such a large parcel of land. So it could be a little while off before it comes up to Council.
Can you divulge whether the parcels to the west or south or?
It's to the east.
Thank you.
Any further queries, councillors? No. Thank you. We'll move on then. We have a notice of motion. No mayoral minute, of course. Notice of motion. item number 1, notice of motion in respect of the fire brigade station at Gerodri.
Thank you, Madam.
Councillor Quinn, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the motion as printed, but I just changed the word to Greater Hume Council strongly supports the establishment of 4-bay RFS Brigade shed at Gerodri Recreation Reserve. If I have a second, I might talk to it.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hicks. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Where the shed is at present is in an awkward position. Currently, the RFS headquarters suggests that coal can shed should come first. They haven't acquired the land, and there's lots of problems in the way. If Gerodri can get strong support from council, in the future, Gerodri will be able to quickly go up Coach Road if they have to go to the east, or go up the Olympic Way to the north. Bear in mind, Madam Mayor, we need strong brigades. Madam Mayor and councillors, we need strong brigades, because as farms amalgamate, there'll be less and less people on farms to man fire trucks. So it's essential where we've got brigades that are keen and active, that we build them up to the best possible stands. I commend the motion to councillors.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any speakers for or against?
Strongly support, David.
Yeah, I've got that I've changed it in the resolution, strongly support.
No, yes. No further speakers? Prepared to vote? We need to have the full screen. All in favour?
Yep.
Carried. Thank you very much. Officers' reports, part A, environment and planning. Just before we start, could we bring forward the item in, where are we? Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. Oh no, is that what I'm talking about? Yes, or in Corporate Services, page 38.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Quinn, thank you. Those in favour that have been brought forward? Carried, thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Maxwell, thank you for joining us by this wonderful method we've got in front of us. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, needs must as we have to. I'm here, I think, to present the annual report of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee, made in accordance with Clause 5 of the committee charter. And I think this will be the last opportunity for me to attend at a council meeting before Steve Pinnock retires. Steve's had the misfortune of knowing me for close on 30 years now, and throughout that time he's been recognised amongst local government senior officers as an outstanding performer of unquestioned integrity. And it's my pleasure to acknowledge how much fun it's been working with him, and how much I wish him well in his retirement, whenever he gets to that point. The report has been submitted as read. There's, and I suggest we take that as read. External audit, it's all good news on that front. There, of course, the auditors always pick up something or other, but they're minor, and there's no hassles, apparent hassles. You've got a good and settled finance staff there. Internal audit, we reviewed 3 internal audit reports during the year. As always, there's improvements can be made. And through our audit follow-up matrix, we're following up that those are completed. The Section 355 committees, of course, always have to be treated with care because that's one of the main ways that council can marshal the community to assist it in its duties. Other reports, yes, the statewide mutual continuous improvement program. Again, that's always looking for improvements. They always find something or other. Question came up at an audit committee meeting in relation to whether council had excessive parcels of unused land that it owned. And we obtained a report from staff on that, which showed that these are being very well and very closely managed by staff. The committee's charter requires that we have a periodic review every 2 years of the committee's performance, and we attempted to do that this year by using SurveyMonkey. Unfortunately, we didn't really get enough responses, and I believe David Smith will be trying again in the near future. I do want to urge you to put your comments in. I don't know what your views are of the short summary reports that I've been hearing after the last 2 meetings, but that is a suggestion that came from one of my other audit committees. We've picked that up in the hope that it makes it easier for you as councillors to understand the role that we play and the benefit we can provide to council. So I do urge you to zot back through your emails or look for David when he resends it, and to fill in the SurveyMonkey as best you can. Anything we can do based on your feedback to be of greater benefit to the council, that's what our job is. I don't have to tell you that your terms have been extended again and the elections will be in September, perhaps.
December.
December. Yeah, from September to December. The only thing, they didn't specify which year, did they? There are consequences from the audit committee point of view that we're promised or threatened that new arrangements for audit committees will come into place following the election, and council will have to make some moves within 6 months. We've had promises from the Office of Local Government that they're going to send information out, but nothing has yet happened. But what they have indicated seems to suggest that there will not only be the 6 months before you have to take the first steps, but there will be opportunity for a phase-in period beyond that. So who knows when council is actually going to have to finally make its changes to the audit committee. In the meantime, we're simply continuing as in the manner that we have in the past, and following the procedures and guidelines that we've set down over the I don't know what, 10, 15 years that council has had an audit committee. Other than that, I'm disappointed that I haven't been able to get to the meeting to meet more of you personally. I do thank not only Steve, but David and Dean Hart and Jackie Lister for their support. I also thank Leah Parker and Tony Quinn, as well as you, Madam Mayor, for your contributions to the committee's deliberations. one of the proposed changes that are being made for audit committees is that councillors will no longer be able to be represented as members of the committee. I feel that would be a serious step backwards, and certainly while I continue to be chairman of the committee, I would welcome councillors sending a representative along to meetings to contribute to the meeting, even if it's a contribution as a non-voting member. Other than that, Madam Mayor, I would welcome any member of council, with your permission, who wishes to direct questions to me on the operations of the committee and what we're looking for going forward.
Thank you very much, David. Councillors, could I have a motion for the recommendation, please, and a seconder?
Yes, Madam Mayor, as not a member of the Audit Committee, I'll move that the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And seconded, Councillor Schull. Thank you. Are there any questions, or do you wish to make any comments, Councillor Meyer?
None whatsoever. I have great faith in the Audit Committee. I've only sat through one. It seemed to me to be a long, long time to sit there to hear all the things that come beforehand, and I don't really wish to be a member of the Audit Committee given the length of time they put into it. I think those members of it should be commended.
Thank you. Any comments or questions, councillors? No? No? If not, I'll put that motion to you all. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And I thank you very much, David, for being here with us this evening. And thank you very much for your services to our council and to our committee certainly over the past 12 months and several other years prior to that. So thank you very much for your fantastic input. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With your permission, I'll now leave the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening. Moving along, councillors, item number 3. Oh, sorry. No, I'm totally out of whack. Moving right along. The page 5, the development application.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillors Quinn and Hicks. Thank you. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Quinn?
Well, I think it's very well documented, well covered. I think there'll be 2 handy blocks in the township of Holbrook.
Thank you. Comments or questions, councillors? No. Any opposition?
Oh, just a comment, Madam Mayor, if I might.
Yes.
Maybe this will become a bit of a trend, do you think, across the Shire in the larger towns, that people will look at dividing because a lot of the towns have the larger blocks, the old-fashioned blocks. Perhaps will it become a trend? Do we need to be looking at a bit of an overlay and where some of that would be a good idea, or is it just going to happen wherever it happens?
I think it'll happen wherever it happens, but this is a bit of a unique one in that it's a corner block, subdivided, has access from 2 roads.
On both sides, yes.
Yes, which is, fortunate for them, I think.
Yes,
makes it a bit simpler.
Be like a battle axe otherwise, wouldn't it? If they were both on the one street. Yeah, no, I just thought some people might,
Yeah, not sure. Mr. Kane, would you make a comment?
Oh, I'd like to, Madam Mayor, with your permission.
Yes, certainly.
Look, one of the things with these clause 4.6 is that council should identify, because they're varying a development standard, council should monitor the applications that come before it, and if it regularly has similar variations sought, then you really should consider reviewing your planning instrument so that, and particularly if council repeatedly approves them,
yes,
that's a good sign that your planning instrument needs a review in this respect. So you're quite right, Councillor Shield. It is a bit of something that there's been quite a number of these brought before council, corner blocks looking to be broken down beneath the 600 square metres, and it may be something that we need to review.
That's what I was sort of thinking. It is under the recommendations. So will that be a trend then? People will see that. Are we setting a precedence? Maybe we should be getting in first. I don't know.
It's very time consuming to review your planning document, and unfortunately you've got to have the commitment to do it. But ideally, yes, we should be identifying that it's becoming a bit of a trend to subdivide these corner blocks and then update our document, our LEP.
Yeah, thank you. I just with tight land availability across the Shire, it might be something that we do need to have a look at sooner rather than later. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parker, you wish to ask a question?
Just a comment. I sat in on the housing summit on Friday last week, the seminar online, and it was very much something that we should be looking at. I think considering we do have a shortage of land, and the GM would probably back me up on that. It was pretty interesting.
Very good. Further comments? No. Prepared to vote? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Governance, item number 1, postponement of the 2021 local government elections. Do you wish to speak first, Mr. Pinnock?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I might just make a couple of comments. As David Maxwell probably alluded to, I guess there may be some cloud over whether the elections will actually go ahead in December. As I understand it, under the legislation or the Local Government Act, the government can defer the election once, and if they wish to defer it more than once, then it will require a legislation change to do that, which is a bit more complicated. But there's always been a reluctance for various reasons to go to, say, universal postal voting. So I guess if the current COVID issues linger in New South Wales for some period of time, there might be some cloud over whether the elections go ahead. But assuming that they are going ahead in December, I have outlined a revised meeting schedule to ensure that we can clear the decks before Christmas, New Year period, given that we won't be able to have a December meeting, by having a meeting on the 1st of December, which then, I guess, I worked backwards a little bit to try and make sure that we had reasonable breaks between each meeting to revise the date of the November meeting and the October meeting, with the September meeting being on the same third Wednesday of the month. And as you earlier in the report, the New South Wales Electoral Commission is saying that they're going to declare all the polls between the 21st and 23rd December. Fingers crossed that that occurs. But if that occurs, then I've outlined on page 16 that the last date that we would have to have a council meeting to meet the requirements of the Local Government Act to meet within 3 weeks of the election being declared. So, look, it's basically put there for information. Happy to take any comments, particularly around the scheduling of the council meetings for the remainder of the year.
Any questions in regards to this?
I think the meetings look like they've been spaced fairly well in consideration of everything that's going on. We have to have something in place, so that's a good start. Who knows? It's just so unpredictable.
All right. Councillor Hicks, you moved. And did we have a seconder? No, we didn't have a seconder. Councillor Parker, thank you. Do you wish to make any comments, Councillor Hicks or Councillor Parker?
No, none from me, thanks.
All right, anything from anyone else? No. I ask you to vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. Carried.
Okay.
Right, item number 2, the annual conference.
I might make some comments around this one too, if you don't mind, Madam Mayor, seeing that I did send out an addendum report. So look, late last week, I suppose we got some advice from local government New South Wales that even though the conference, in-person conference, had been deferred until February, March next year, there still was a requirement to have the annual conference to cover off on some legislative requirements around adoption of the financial statements and annual report. So there will be an online annual conference on the 29th of November, which they're saying will only run for approximately 1 hour to do those legislative requirements. We will have to nominate delegates to be the voting delegates for that conference, as well as the board elections, which I'm suggesting that we'll bring back a further report to the September council meeting after we've had an election for the deputy mayor. The other issue, I suppose, is around conference motions. As you can see, there is a motion that's been submitted by Councillor Meyer. So I've changed the recommendation that went out with the business paper slightly, just to say that further motions for conference be submitted to the General Manager for consideration by Council at scheduled meetings for the remainder of the year. So I guess what I'm saying is that if councillors come up with a motion that they'd like to put to the conference that will now be held at the end of February, early March, then providing that you advise myself the week before the council agenda is being prepared, so a couple of weeks before the council meeting, then we'll ensure that that motion is submitted to council for consideration.
All right. There is a recommendation on the screen.
I'll move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. And seconded. Seconder, Councillor Weston. Thank you. Do you wish to make any comments, Councillor Meyer?
Madam Mayor, this is a long-running, in terms of the proposed resolution to go to a conference, this is a long-running sort of scenario, saga, call it what you like. Government, in their wisdom, have chosen to ignore it from time to time. I think it's about time we put it back on the paper. It's to the advantage of everybody that's a small insurer to have everybody share the pot that goes towards funding emergency services. At the moment, the way it runs is that's not the case if somebody doesn't insure. If you self-insure, you're not paying an emergency services levy. That's all I need to say, Madam Mayor. The story doesn't change from year to year. It's just a long-running saga. In that case, I move the resolution, including those comments about the need to submit the resolution to the proper conference of local government.
Thank you. Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Quinn, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I fully support the sentiments expressed by Councillor Meyer, but I think the present wording will not tick the box as far as the political climate goes. I can't suggest how you could word it, and I think a majority of councils may not support it neither. I think it's essential that as we've got a bit of time on our hands, that we work out a way where we can, perhaps wording's not good, Councillor Meyer, but offer the government some sort of candy so that might encourage them to do it. They're dead set at present of not doing it, and I think a lot of councils have an attitude that it's not the way to go. As Councillor Myers expressed, it's a very fair way to go, but we've got to figure out wording and an approach so that we can get it across the line, I think.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to remind Councillor Quinn that we have actually won this twice, and it was to be government policy, and at the last minute they reneged. Now, given we've won it twice, I think there is a feeling out there amongst other councils that yes, they do support it, but local government itself haven't lent on government enough to make it stick, for want of a better description. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Ready to vote? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Yeah, all in favour.
Madam Mayor,
Item
could I also make a comment that just because we put this in, then that doesn't mean that councillors can't have a say in it by changing the wording before the conference, if in fact it gets onto the paper.
Thank you. Item number 3, the Bushfire Community Recovery and Resilience Fund grant. There is. There, do you wish to speak to that?
Happy to answer questions, Madam Mayor.
There is a recommendation. Councillor Quinn.
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Schulz has moved, seconded. Councillor Quinn, thank you.
Question to the General Manager. In the kit that we might be able to acquire, could we have some defibrillators as well?
Yeah.
If a note goes to all the brigades, there's 68 brigades in the Shire, I don't think we'll have any trouble using the grant money, as long as they all know.
Could I ask Councillor Quinn a question in terms of his, isn't there a defibrillator in every fire truck?
There is, Councillor Meyer, but there's shops. This is an emergency kit. There's shops and hotels that haven't got them throughout the Shire. And if we had a few up our sleeve, we could put them in strategic positions.
I don't disagree with you. I know that there's a number in Hentiggan in specified locations that aren't made public, which is the wrong thing to be doing, but that's just how it works sometimes. And I was always led to believe that there was one in every fire truck within the Shire.
That's correct, yep.
Thank you.
The intent, Councillor Meyer, I think, of Councillor Quinn's suggestion, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but was to develop, if you like, a community emergency kit, for the want of a better word, as Councillor Quinn's termed it, which would have all of those things in it, that in the event that there was some sort of an event or an emergency that required that kit to be moved to a location, say the Holbrook Sporting Complex, for the, to act as a staging point for some sort of emergency, then all that equipment could go across there, including the defibrillators, which, or it could be, it could be a more remote location where there may not be a defibrillator that's on hand. Yes, they might be in the trucks, but if all the trucks are out on the fire ground, then there's still one that's, back at a certain location. So I think, and certainly, we've got the marquee in there, and certainly, like as emergency goes, that would have been very handy, when we had the recent COVID scare down at Gindra, for example, and had to, very quickly put up a pop-up testing clinic. So I think it does provide the potential to have some good equipment that, if it's stored appropriately and made sure that it's not moved inappropriately, then it'll be very handy.
All right, Councillor Parker.
Madam Mayor, GM, didn't we discuss getting some more satellite phones with that funding?
Yes, we did. We've already got some satellite phones down as part of another part of the grant, and we have got in there communications, satellite phones or similar. Talking to Telstra, there may be other options that are just as good. So
yep. I remember that conversation. Yep.
Yeah, we'll just, we'll put it in there as communications, but at the end of the day, whether it's a satellite phone or whether it's some other form of communication, we'll work that out once we get the application through.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Neill.
I was just supporting Mr. GM's statement, but he got in first. With the pop-up testing clinic, yes, it would have been great to have had something that cars could actually drive through, and that the staff who were valiantly battling their way through the elements to test people would have had some shelter. It would have been great. So is 6 by 6 big enough, or?
Well, look, I think so. I guess the challenge is you want something that's big enough, but not too big, that's too unwieldy to be able to move quickly.
Yeah, I guess it's at least the cars can go through, that'd be all right.
Yeah, we think we've checked the height, and it's going to be, right for the large majority of cars. And if there were cars that were over height, well, we might just have to, they might have to go down a different little chute or something. Yeah, because for example, a truck turned up at Gindera,
yes,
as you're aware of, so you're not going to get that under a marquee of any description.
All right, Councillor Schulg.
Oh,
Do you wish to?
Yeah, I think the GM's explained it all pretty well, but it is vital that we have a lot of thought into all the equipment, because with the defibrillator, you could be saving precious time and moments, and it's about saving lives and having everything within reach when you're taking an emergency trailer to a particular spot. It's not going to be necessarily in a office hours time that we can grab one from a facility that's maybe not so handy. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
All right, I think it's probably time to take the vote on that. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
All in favour.
All in favour? Unanimous. Corporate and Community Services, item number 1, the interim quarterly budget review.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Councillor O'Neill, thank you. Councillor Meyer and O'Neill. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Meyer?
Madam Mayor, apart from the wet weather, I think the budget's gone pretty well. We can all look and say that we haven't gone so well in some of the road making things, but try building a road in the sort of weather that we've been having, particularly when there was 4 inches in my area in July. I think people need to stop and think and realise that the staff have done an excellent job, and unfortunately things go over budget sometimes, but that's occasioned by the weather in this case, or in a lot of other cases that are nominated through here, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No. No. Any other comments or questions, councillors? Councillor Myers summed it up very well, actually.
On the other hand, most people are looking and thinking about glorious crops they're going to have, and if people haven't been following the wheat price today, it went over $300 a tonne for harvest in December.
Oh. We should all be smiling then.
Gives us a chance to put the rates up.
No.
On your property only, I think, Councillor Meyer.
All right, thank you. We do have a mover and seconder for this. Are you prepared to vote? Please, those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3, the contribution to
I'll
the
move that contribution.
Councillors O'Neill and Parker. Do you wish to speak, Councillor O'Neill?
No, it's good to see that we do have 3
Yes.
from our shire.
Yes. It's been a little while, I think, so it's nice to see. I know we've had several over the years from this particular part of the Shire, and it's always been well utilised and very much appreciated by the recipients. So that's really good.
Mayor, I might just make a very quick comment. I will be writing to the Southern Sports Academy to just request that they send these letters to us in about March and not in July, so that we can just wrap it up as part of the budget process.
That's
and we
right.
don't have to keep bringing back a separate report every year.
That's fair enough. All right, any opposition? I declare that carried. Thank you. Item number 4, the draft community engagement study.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Quick question, Madam Mayor, to the director. The recommendation said it be adopted. I thought it was just being started.
Through you, Madam Mayor, well, we're adopting the engagement strategy, but we need the strategy adopted to guide our engagement. That makes sense. We're only just starting the engagement, but we're adopting the strategy of how we're going to do the engagement.
Definitely swallowed different dictionaries to me.
All right, we've had a mover and seconder. Any further comments?
Well,
No.
yes, Madam Mayor, it's a thing that I'm very concerned about. We don't, well, I'm talking in general, this happens right across the state. We don't seem to be able to scope wide enough. You get, admittedly, the world runs on those who turn up at a meeting, but we don't go near wide enough to find out what people actually think. How you get them to make a commitment, I don't know, but I just don't think that the surveys that all sorts of organisations do. A recent example was Riverina Water did surveys and everything came back, and all of a sudden they found out that the supply in Walla wasn't too good at all. And this is because people just don't bother replying. That people are our own worst enemies, but somehow, as an organisation, we should be able to reach out and get more involvement into these sort of programs.
That's part of the effort that's required for this, I think. Any further comments or questions? No, prepared to vote those in favour. Unanimous, thank you. Item number 5, the Holbrook Community Gardens has created a little bit of angst in the community.
I'll move the recommendation. Oh, well, it's a discussion, isn't it?
Can I? Yeah, I'm happy to second it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Shield, Councillor Clark.
I'm fine with you, Madam Mayor. I might just make a few comments.
Yes.
Look, yeah, this has been sort of ticking away in the background for a while now, but it's pretty well come to a head where the community garden has to relocate. You know, given it as a community garden, ideally it should be located on community land to allow access. So look, I've suggested the area of land just north of the library here as being a possible site. You know, it doesn't have to go there. I just thought that was a logical spot, given that it's close to where they are. So if they have to relocate material and so on, it's not a huge distance away. It's central to Killara and Frampton Court, where they get a lot of involvement in the garden from the residents there. There's ample parking here. We can get quite easily get a water supply there, but from the supply here to the library. So it ticks all the boxes. And look, I think it's you know, important that we support the community garden. Obviously, there's a lot of support for it in the Holbrook community, and yeah, I just think that it's a good idea if we can locate it here and have it continue.
Thanks, Mr. Smith. Any comments from Councillor?
Sorry, yeah. I was just going to iterate some of the things David mentioned, and being central and a bit more open, and we've got the new path on that little roadway. Everyone can access it, and it brings a lot of joy and pleasure to a lot of people, and it may even get more people involved because it's a little bit more open and not sort of looking like it's part of the, you know, in the school. Yeah, so it's maybe all positives in the long run.
Councillor Parker?
Yes, I'd just like to support Councillor Shulg's comments as well. Community garden was established whilst my children were attending St Pat's, and with the idea of bringing the older and younger participants of the community together. And I think it has done so for those 8 years. The garden offers many benefits to the community by helping those in isolation and relaxation and respite and general friendships, which, you know, people hadn't sort of been, I guess, socialising together until they came to the community garden, but also the children that were involved. And I'm delighted that council is considering working with such a group for a great cause. I think it's a fabulous project.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors?
Question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
In another organisation, we considered a grant to people in Holbrook to set up some sort of a garden. Was that one related to this?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes. Yeah. There was a grant provided to this organisation for installation of irrigation some time ago.
That's right. Yeah.
Righto, thank you. That answers the question.
Prepared to vote, councillors? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That's unanimous. Item to be referred to closed council.
I move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And seconded, Councillor Parker. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Opposite reports. Part B, C. How far do you want to go? D.
Yeah, well,
And
A lot.
mover? Pardon?
yes, I'll move that.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Councillor Parker, thank you. You wish to speak, Councillor Hicks?
That's right.
No. Any comments or questions? Any opposition? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Okay. The live stream part of the meeting has been paused. Not quite yet, so just
No matters of urgency.
no matters of urgency, councillors. No.